An active weather setup is coming as we go into our Thanksgiving week with a winter storm looking more and more likely. This comes as very cold air is expected by the end of the week and the upcoming weekend as an Arctic blast takes hold. This video has all the details you need on the winter storm and the cool air potential, plus I'll even show you your specific chance of snowfall.
One Nation Weather.
Thank you for taking time out of your weekend to tune into this video. As always, I really appreciate you being here. Keep in mind that the weather model maps that I use in my videos are always from Weatherbell, so if you want to check out their free trial link for yourself, it is right down below in the description to this video. Also, if you're new to the channel and you enjoy the rest of this video, I'd love it if you'd hit that subscribe button down below. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, always leave those down in the comments section. That's a reminder that I want to give you too. But let's go ahead and jump right into scenario number 1 for our active weather that we're going to be seeing as we go into our Thanksgiving week, and that all starts right here with the European model. And believe it or not, we're actually going to begin the active week with a little bit of what I want to call a precursor storm as we go into our Monday, November 25th of 2024. I can go ahead and tell you right now, this is not going to be something the models are having a struggle with or disagreeing about because we're only about 2 to 3 days out from when this occurs as I film this video late on our Saturday. As you can see here, the European model projecting around our Monday evening time frame, a brief low pressure system forming around the Great Lakes. Pretty much the only impact out of this storm is expected to be some scattered rainfall from parts of the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley all the way back down to the mid-south. As we go out of our Monday evening, overnight into our early Tuesday, some of those showers push through the Appalachians, but overall get broken up by those mountains. Unless you're up there in the New England states, you can see New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, parts of Connecticut, Rhode Island, and even back down towards New Jersey, a better chance for some rain into our Tuesday afternoon. But unless you're in the far interior northeast, pretty much no chance of snow out of that storm. But when we are going to be able to start talking about snow, that is as we go out of our Wednesday afternoon and into the Wednesday evening time frame when a low pressure system is likely to form somewhere around the Central Plains moving into the mid-Mississippi Valley. The European model has the moisture associated with this into Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and then the northern side of that moisture certainly turning over to snowfall, possibly at least out of the solution, into parts of Nebraska, places like Des Moines, Iowa, into north central Illinois, and that could even be near Chicago. It really all depends on exactly where the placement of this low is for if we're going to see snow on up here into the upper Midwest, because this is definitely one of the more uncertain zones out of this storm. But it certainly looks like Wednesday night, heading into our early Thursday, we could see a dynamic storm form somewhere in that area and begin pushing east. This is as we go into our Thanksgiving, the European model putting a low pressure system somewhere there in the Ohio Valley, the associated warm front really bringing the dividing line between rain and snow somewhere in Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. But where it turns to snow, that could be some heavy snow, and that could include places like Indianapolis, Chicago, up there into Cleveland, Ohio, Detroit, Michigan, even over into Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, very close to that rain-snow line with this storm, something we'd have to track. And then you can see back down to the southwest of that low-pressure system, the strong cold front pushing in from the west, with lots of showers and thunderstorms out ahead of it. Parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, up into Tennessee and Kentucky. I'd be watching some of those storms that could be possible with this solution into our Thursday morning. I wouldn't rule out some of those storms being on that stronger to severe side, and that could continue into our Thanksgiving afternoon and evening as these storms make their way towards the southeast U.S., the Carolinas, up into the mid-Atlantic. Meanwhile, gusty winds and some snowfall possible in parts of the Ohio Valley and interior northeast out of our late Thanksgiving and into the early parts of our Black Friday. This is as we go into our Black Friday into the afternoon hours. You can see the low, at least according to this solution, 5 days out from when this is set to happen, making its way on up there towards Maine, bringing some rain as the warm front moves way north up there in the northern parts of the Atlantic. Meanwhile, though, back behind the low, very cold air making its way into the eastern U.S. as well as some lake effect snow bands. Those are all things that'll have plenty more time to track, but let's go ahead and get into the GFS model solution for what it is anticipating as we go into the week ahead. First of all, as we start off the week and go into our Monday, November 25th of 2024, not much different between it and the European model. You can see it showing those showers, pushing out of parts of the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley back down towards the mid-south. They'll make their way east out of our Monday evening and into the overnight hours into our Tuesday, making their way through the Appalachians, the Northeast. We'll see some brief rainfall in those locations, but overall a comparison between it and the Euro really begins as we go towards our Thanksgiving day. In the early part of the day, this is when that European model was showing some snow up there towards Nebraska, Iowa, and northern Illinois. The GFS develops this low way further to the south and east late Wednesday heading into this Turkey Day, and you can see down there towards Tennessee would be the center of the low instead of Missouri. That could cause our snow to be way further south and down towards south central parts of Illinois, towards Terre Haute, Indiana, maybe heavier snow in Indianapolis. And then pushing on the door of Cincinnati, Ohio on that rain-snow line with this solution. This is from our midday run of the GFS on our Saturday as I'm filming this, so keep in mind, new solutions continue to come out with all these models even beyond when I'm filming this video. Overall, though, I expect these models to start aligning more as we get closer to the event. Here we go with that GFS model, though, out of our Thursday morning towards our Thursday afternoon. The storm's certainly becoming more dynamic. We do see some snow there. That's a little bit of a similarity. It looks like we could see some decent chances of snow in the interior Northeast in particular, maybe even trying to push towards the coast in the New England states into the end of our Thanksgiving Day. Meanwhile, we'll be watching some of those showers and storms that could even be on that feistier side as you push back towards the Carolinas, Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama some point through that afternoon and evening timetable. And then as we go out of our Thursday into our Friday, we see that storm push offshore, and then we're just watching those lake effect snow bands pushing from northwest to southeast out there. Wisconsin, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, the Glove of Michigan itself, down into Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and western New York. All those typical areas certainly having a decent chance of the lake effect snow. So the model is not completely off from the Euro, but it's definitely off on some of those aspects of where the snow is, especially initially. And that's why I want to give you a look at your actual chance of snow in an overall sense here, using an average of models, or at least that's what I like to call it here. It's a bunch of members being averaged out into a European ensemble collection. Yes, I know you're like, well, didn't the European model, didn't you just show that having a bias to the snow up here in the Midwest? I did, but I'm going to circle a broader area than where the chances actually are on these graphics so you know where we could see this snow as we go out of specific time frames. In this case, Wednesday night going into the start of our Turkey Day. Whether it's the GFS model or the Euro, whether the snow's further north or further south in this circled zone, somewhere in that Midwest zone, we've already got a 50 to a 70% chance of snowfall accumulating into the start of our Thanksgiving. That's pretty promising if you are a snow lover, and if you don't like snow, especially impacting our Thanksgiving travel, you might be out of luck in one of those zones by the time we get to this event. Same goes over here into the Ohio Valley and Northeast. We'll notice those chances into Pennsylvania and New York. The interior parts of those states are the highest out of any zone. That's where the models, in fact, overlapped as well. Somewhere out of Ohio and parts of southern Michigan, all the way on over here into the interior Northeast, already about a 50 to 80% chance, depending on if you're in those yellow or orangish to reddish shades, for some accumulating snowfall. Again, it's just a matter of where in those states this happens. That is going to be what's interesting to figure out. But what kind of already is figured out is the fact that we are going to have an Arctic blast that's driving this whole change as we go to the end of next week. And let's go ahead and talk about that using the temperature anomalies from the European model. I think these do a great job at pinpointing the change that's on the way, and that all starts in the early part of the week. You can see some areas of warmer than average conditions, other areas with below average temperature conditions as we start the week, but there's no crazy contrast or crazy anomalies until we get to around Turkey Day itself, especially for a broad region. You can see that by the time we go into our Thanksgiving afternoon and evening, all these blues turning over to the greens, and even those deeper blues here through the plains especially, those indicate 10, 15, 20 degree below average conditions spreading out over this zone. And keep in mind, being 10, 15, 20 degrees below average up there in the Dakotas, Minnesota this time of the year, that can mean that some dangerous cold is moving, and especially when you factor in the way the wind feels on your skin. So make sure you're taking some of those precautions based on the looks of this anyway, if this forecast holds up there in that region. And really, even as this cool air pushes down into the Midwest, it looks like it could even be 20 to 25 degrees below average there into our Black Friday. If you're one of those people who goes shopping on Black Friday, it might not be a bad day to be inside the stores with the heat, because it is just going to be downright cool to even very cold over this entire area that I have circled. 15 to 25 degrees below average for this time of the year, from the upper Midwest flowing all the way down to the southeast and mid-Atlantic. The entire eastern two-thirds of the country, really the entire country, with that cool air at the end of this upcoming week. And then by the time we go out of the upcoming weekend and into the following week, this European model, I know it's a long way out, but as we go towards our Monday, December 2nd, it is still showing waves of cold air, maybe not even induced by storms, just flowing from north to south. This means that we are possibly entering what could be a very extended cold air period that could even last several days into December over the eastern U.S. So that's something I'll be tracking. But let's go ahead and talk about the change that's going to happen this week in terms of the actual numbers for our temperatures here. Let's start with these high temperatures as we kick off this week using the National Digital Forecast Database as we go into our Monday, November 25th of 2024. Notice up there in the Dakotas and Minnesota, it is already chilly. This is the cool air that will have to make its way to the southeast by the end of the week. For now, though, just teens and 20s up there, while most other areas from the Midwest down to the southeast, at least in the 50s, with many spots in the 60s and 70s. Let's go ahead and contrast that from what is going to come as we go to the end of the week in terms of our feels like temperatures or the wind chill on your skin. This is a look at the European model's projections for that. So again, here we go, Monday afternoon. Notice it's feeling like, say, 70 in Alabama into our Monday afternoon, while up there in Minnesota, the wind is already making it feel like 0 to 10 degrees during the peak heating of the day. That's the kind of cold that's locked up in the north central U.S. and has to make its way southeast. And as I've been saying, that's going to happen with that cold front, especially as we go beyond Thanksgiving and into the upcoming weekend thereafter. Here we go. Let's play things out. Going into the Thanksgiving Day itself, this is as we go into the middle of the afternoon. Notice some areas there in the Midwest are already starting to cool down behind this cold front, but out ahead of it, we've still got numbers into Alabama, Georgia, the Carolinas, pushing on up there towards Virginia, where we could even see some of those stronger storms in the 60s and 70s. Again, though, behind that front, that is that cold air that we're waiting on to make its way and infiltrate all these areas. Feels like temperatures back up into the upper Midwest and Great Lakes, anywhere from around 5 to 15 during some of the peak heating hours of the day. More like 0, even down into some of the negative digits up there over the Dakotas in northwest Minnesota. Keep in mind, these are just projections for now, but as we go towards our Black Friday in the morning, we could be waking up to temperatures that are, say, 25 degrees in some parts of the Ohio Valley, maybe for the regular temperature, but it's going to feel a lot colder, more like 10 to 15 with the wind chill being factored in. It's even worse into our Saturday morning, or at least worse if you don't like the cold, and I bet that's a lot of you, especially if it doesn't come with snow. Up here from the upper Midwest, moving into the Great Lakes, down into the Ohio Valley, you see all these deepish red shades. That's where it's going to be feeling like about 10. When you start going to the blue to the turquoise, you are talking about 0 down to even negative 10 for a wind chill. This is dangerous cold. Make sure you know those precautions that you need to take with your home, your pipes, and of course yourself and your pets with this kind of cold moving in. It looks even colder as we go towards our Sunday, December 1st with this solution. And again, this continues over a lot of the eastern 2/3 of the U.S. for an extended period of time. So here's what I know right now with all the latest headlines, a recap of what I've just been talking about in this video. First of all, a quick hitting storm for the north early this week. Monday into Tuesday, parts of the Great Lakes Northeast, a brief hit of some of that rainfall. Then we look ahead to that bigger storm that has some model discrepancies as we go towards Wednesday, our Thanksgiving, and our Black Friday. There could be some snow, but also some southern severe weather out of that storm, and I'll be tracking all those details as we get closer, of course. And then behind that storm, an extended period of cold air will begin, and that looks like it's going to start right in time for our Turkey Day and go all the way through the weekend thereafter. This is going to be a very dynamic pattern and a very interesting one to track, especially if you are a snow and or cold air tracker or lover. Whether you love it or hate it, though, it affects you in some way, and I hope that you'll stay tuned to me right here at One Nation Weather. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my consistent and accurate forecasts in the future. I'll see you in the next one, which should be within the next couple of days.
One Nation Weather.